Thank you for welcoming me onto your screens or onto headphones, depending on how you're watching this. I'm Eddie, and this is the rollback. And folks, if it has a bit of a new look right now, that's because I'm in a new office, not by choice, but I am. So that said, folks, today I'm going to be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder, a film about memes. We'll go with memes. A lot of memes. So Thor: Love and Thunder, Gore, the God Butcher, has arisen. We have a new Thor on the block. Along with the OG, we have Lady Thor, or Dr. Jane Foster, as she likes to be called. Together they must deal with Gore. He kidnaps the kids. They're trying to save him. Gore's trying to get to eternity so he can wish for all the gods to be dead. Allegedly, because he never said that was his plan. Everything just falls off the fucking rails from there. We also have new Asgard. They're growing, they're becoming a thriving community. There's aliens there to some certain degree. They're still warriors though, which I do appreciate. And yeah, and there's a cameo by the Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, maybe the best soundtrack of any Marvel film, but it doesn't feel like every song hits. It's a bit of an odd duck. So, Thor: Love and Thunder, it's more lighthearted than the other Marvel films. By a country fucking mile, it's more lighthearted. More kid-friendly. The villain is just a little more kid scary. This might be the most 80s film that Marvel's ever done, because it feels like an 80s film. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of kid-friendly stuff. There's also weirdly a weird amount of use of the word orgy, which why? But let's talk about the positives right now. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, great as always, emotional response to it. Dealing with trauma, dealing with heartbreak, dealing with the situation at hand as best he can. Thor's just doing his best and experiencing his life. So, props to him. And his comedic timing mostly hit. Then we also have Natalie Portman playing Dr. Jane Foster, or the Mighty Thor. They had more chemistry in this movie than in the other two films combined. Easily. That one sequence that showed the early part of their relationship where they were both rollerblading together, fucking adorable. I love that. I loved every aspect of it. We do have a cameo from Kat Dennings as well. She's in this film as well. But it's the Thor and Thor show, essentially. We do also have Valkyrie, who is the king of Asgard. And she's great in this role. They gave her a lot more to do. You can tell she did a lot more in this one than she did in Thor Ragnarok. She's also dealing with some emotional stuff, namely, she's still dealing with the loss of her initial sisters, as well as the growth of the community. She's having to deal with all this stuff. There's a lot on her shoulders. Fair enough. And people look to her for guidance. Again, fair enough. Then we have the dude who I'd argue stole the show, Christian Bale as Gore. Now, in the opening scene of this film, we actually see Gore's backstory. He's on a desert planet praying to a god for substance for him and his daughter. He's just carrying his daughter, trying to be a good father, until eventually his daughter passes away. Unfortunate as it is, we see then Gore comes across the gods, continues to pray, continues to have belief in the gods until the god becomes selfish and, an asshole towards him. Gore then gets possession of the Necro Sword, kills the god, and then decides his life's mission, no more gods. Which, justified? For what I can tell, the gods in the Marvel Universe are assholes, mostly. At one point, we get a really, really cringy scene in Olympus, or Olympitad, whatever the fuck they want to call it, the world of Olympus, where Zeus is king of all the gods. And Zeus is just... he's played by Russell Crowe, but I fucking hate it. There's only two parts of this film I truly despised. It was the screaming ghosts that made me want to punch someone in the face, and Zeus. Because of his portrayal, I just felt like it was a waste. It was look how funny it is. It's funny because, he's supposed to be the very ideal of masculinity and alphaism, and look how frilly he is. Was it worth it? Was the joke worth it? Because I feel like there's another way to go about this. If you present a serious, God-fearing, or everyone fears him, Zeus, who means business, it means all the more when Thor fucking stabs him in the chest. He could still be no, we're not going to go fight him. We'll stay right here. arguably a coward, but also like, dude, I am the strongest god that there is. Like, why would we? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I despise that portrayal of Zeus, all for a joke, versus portray him as a real character with real stakes that can come into play later on in the MCU, which he can. Props though, fucking Roy Kent is Hercules, so there's that. He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where. Roy Kent. I'm gonna wear a shirt whenever Hercules is gonna return. I'm gonna wear a shirt that says "Kick his ass, Roy." I'm just saying. I will, and I will wear it here on the show, assuming we're still going. But yeah, that said, Thor: Love and Thunder hasn't received the same amount of love as other Thors, and I can kind of understand why. There were a lot of jokes here, some of them at the expense of the film. It feels like a remix of Thor Ragnarok, and it's fine for the most part, but there's some stupid stuff. Like when those two things are going to crash into Thor and he's using his thighs to just hold him in place, he's like, ah. Like, it's stupid. No, but stupid can be funny sometimes, but also stupid can be a little over stupid, if that makes sense. This film is indicative, though, of the new direction of the MCU, which is a little more kid-friendly, a little more jokey, a little more lighthearted, which, I suppose, fair enough. As of right now, we've gotten all the films that were initially announced in 2019, I believe, or 2018. Anyway, we've gotten all the films that were announced at that point, so this is the current direction of the MCU. Do I necessarily think it's going to hold? We'll see. Look, you all should know I'm a wrestling fan. WWE was PG-14 initially, up until 2008, and then it went PG. When it went PG, they made way more money, but also there were some compromises that had to be made with storytelling and whatnot. Can't help but feel like this is one of the situations where there's going to be some compromises for storytelling for the sake of the children. To some degree, that can be a good thing, like Hawkeye, fucking phenomenal. This one, I don't know. I really don't know. I hope it's good. I hope it gets better. Thor: Love and Thunder. Also, part of the problem is I hate the fact that Jane passed away. I understand she was battling cancer. Mjolnir gave her some degree of invulnerability to deal with the cancer. But that said, I wish she didn't die. I wish she had been around for a long-term story. Because she could be the new Thor. And I understand Love may be the new Thor. But like, I prefer that. I prefer Dr. Jane Foster. She had a great story. She made the hero's choice. The hero's choice that was made in Spider-Man, that was made in Wonder Woman, that was made in all these other films where the hero has to take a moment to decide, is this what I really want to do? This will get me killed. And she made the choice. Props to her. Like, if anything, they redeemed the character tenfold. Easily. They did the character justice from what she is in the comics to the big screen. I just wish she had been able to stick around longer. And I get it. Maybe Natalie Portman's busy. She's not exactly... She's, I think, 37, I want to say? I think she's 37. I could be wrong with her age. So I understand if she doesn't want to commit to like a 10-year contract. By the time she's done, she'll be almost 50. I get it. But I just think it would have been better if she had stuck around. If she had been able to stick around, at least. Yeah, because she had this great showdown with Gore. Then there was also the showdown with the kids in the third act. And Thor even says, I bestow upon you, for a limited time only, the power of Thor. That action sequence was fucking maniacal, but I loved it because it's in the spirit and it was lighthearted. I'm not against lighthearted shit. I'm not against kid-friendly stuff. I'm against bad storytelling. To me, Zeus bad. The kids having Thor's power, good. Also, I want to talk about Gore. Gore was a fucking great villain here. Granted, was he necessarily the god butcher of the comics? Not necessarily, but he was still fucking terrifying. That moment where he like fucks with the kids and he's just like laughing and like smiling and rips the head off a snake, that's fucking maniacal. Like, genuinely, he's top 3 Marvel villains right now. It goes Thanos, Killmonger, Thor. Gore. You know what I'm saying? In that order. Like, he was awesome. I loved it. I just wish we could have gotten more of Gore as well. The end part where he gets to eternity and he wishes back his daughter instead of wishing for all the gods to be dead was nice. But imagine this. Imagine, if you will, a version where we get to that part. Thor tells him, please don't kill all the gods. Some people need us, whatever. Some of us are protectors. Gore says, this was never about the gods. Yes, I hated you, but this was never about you. It was about my love. And then he wishes his daughter back, and he's dying still from the Necro Sword, but it was always his intention to wish back love rather than kill the gods. That would be a cool twist. Like, he'd be a villain that won also. He'd be like Thanos. But nonetheless, villain lost. The mighty Thor passed away. Crossed into Valhalla. Cool scene, by the way. Yeah, that was Thor: Love and Thunder. B+. Not a bad film, not by any stretch of the imagination, but the fucking goat screaming, just like, and Zeus. But if you take out those two parts, I think I would have enjoyed the film a lot more. That said, that's going to end it for this episode of The Rollback. What did you think of Thor: Love and Thunder? Comment down below. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. We're always trying to grow this channel. That said, I've been Eddie, and this was The Rollback. We'll see everybody.